Welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. We're going to be here for a minute because I just finished that side quest objective that has 15 of these. But then we will get to Battlegrounds. Figured I'd go ahead and go live and say hi as I'm doing this. Hey Saffron, how's it going? Hey Omega. Alright. I'll come back and do more of that later. But... Right, I already made the deck. So let's just go. Morning, Ghost. Excuse me. I didn't have the right window open to mute that. Hey, Black Hole. Some props are intentionally hid just to avoid clipping during the animations. Might be waiting a while, Saffron, but we'll see. It's really tempting to take Shang-Chi as well. Hey, Jason. Rank 3 Colossus I do respect. That was a good set of 5. Any of them would have been solid. Titania is Mary. Hyperion is Mark. Dust... Oh, I know this one. Nefaria is Luciano. Silver Samurai, I don't remember. That is a difficult one. I feel bad that I don't remember Dust right now, because I should have that one. Like, that's one I know, I'm just blanking. Pretty good late pick. I'm kind of surprised they didn't take Lola. They had the option to, right? Yeah, we expect that. Or shows that my brain just holds on to random stuff, Ghost. Come here. I think that was slightly faster than just waiting until the special too, but it's hard to tell sometimes. Spelled with a C, it's absorbing man Omega. If you're trying to do a double there with Mordo, that's spelled with a K. Suraya, that's it. Suraya Kadir. But yeah, Kenichio I was not going to get. I wasn't there. No offense to any of y'all, but I'm just, I don't know. I'm not quite awake enough to trust myself to comment on speculations for next month, so I'm just not going to. But yeah, it'll be a fun month. That completely checks out, Jency. That's cool. Basically Nova, but in the Mystic class. Hey, I see you. Hyperion as well. That's a reasonable run on a rank 4 Infinity War Iron Man with Hyperion there. Well played to our opponent. Hey, Cypher. Tough one there. Yep, Shang-Chi good. I was hoping that was roughly what that would feel like. Okay, so the reason I was laughing earlier, I didn't have the brain power to express it at the same time as fighting, but I I agree with you, Omega, but I feel like there's a little bit of that, you know, the like, oh, you're sweet, hello, human resources meme, where it's like, voodoo extending node buffs, oh, you're sweet. Serpent getting his death immunity extended by nodes. Hello, human resources. Like, it's the same kind of thing, but one is a cool interaction, and one is, how did Kabam allow this? Special proficiency would not actually be prowess because the various proficiency effects are explicitly attack up, right? Like, they're basically theories, but not called as much. So the closer equivalent would be to say that, like, Power Shield has a 400% special proficiency, if you want to put it in those terms. I mean, it's not always my favorite thing when I'm running into a black hole, but I think that that's a valid um, source of switching things up. Like you say, sometimes it can help you, sometimes it can hurt you. And with all of the idols, at least so far, we have asked Art to make it a pretty clear the difference between the two, right? Like the animation for Special 1 versus Special 2 on all the idols we have is very clearly different. I'll be shocked if we actually play 2 rounds for this one. Thoughts on Cassandra and Battlegrounds? Um, I haven't seen much of her. I have heard that people have had a pretty good run with her. Um, it sounds like there's pretty high skill involved, though. She wasn't really explicitly aimed at Battlegrounds. Yeah, I haven't played with him much. Like, she's supposed to be a decent two-way, but that wasn't her primary focus, you know? Yeah, no problem, Black Hole. I understand why you asked. I think that's an easy shocker because we don't have another good answer to Onslaught. It's a good thing that we're heavily favored here because this draft, RPG-wise, didn't really line up well. Our stuff is just generally bigger. Although it also didn't line up well because they insisted on drafting all of their mutants for some reason. I'm guessing Nick. Yeah. That's fine, go for it. Nice, Cypher, that makes sense. Like, that's well within the bounds of what we had in mind for her. Don't do it. Come here. Now you may throw. I'm not really a sports guy. Like I follow sports enough. I grew up in Texas. I went to USC. I'm comfortable with football. I was raised on baseball. That's my dad's sport. I generally follow basketball. I played for a while because I'm tall and it's required for you to at least try. But I don't really follow sports. Ooh, they're gonna be in there a while. All right, play carefully. In the off-season, true potential, probably not. Fair enough, Matt. Yeah, I haven't really been. I have never really gotten into fantasy. Nice, I didn't realize you were also a Trojan. That's okay. I've got my teams. For baseball, at least. But good luck. I continue to consider rank 4 Shocker. Sometimes he just doesn't work at all, right? Like he's had a bad run of metas recently, but man, when he's good, he's just so good. They held in there. Maybe? Maybe they didn't hold in there. They, I was expecting more than 15% off. That's brutal. It's not the end. Not here for the evil empire. I do not spec into Collar Tech, but yes, I have bought the Radiance Mastery Point. I might at some point, but I haven't made the switch. There's still too many things I like in my current setup. Oh, do I want to ban a rank 4 Spider-Woman when I have one too? I don't know that I do. Never mind, that works. I was definitely going to take out Carolina and Cull, which I think they know. Sorry, friend. Trying to get through the victory track as quickly as I can. I'll be out of your hair. Terex is interesting. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's interesting. Aiden. Thanks, Jaden. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I do want to be clear. I don't think that speccing into Collar Tech isn't defensible. I just really like the Petrify Mastery. I like keeping Limber high, even on offense, because it can save your bacon. I refuse to give up on Mystic Dispersion. Hold on, thinking. And so that just generally sets me up with not enough points, right? Because I also consider a few points in deep wounds important. And basically, like if you want to run Inequity, Mystic Dispersion, Petrify, and Deep Wounds, you cannot afford to run Collar Tech. One of them has to give. And I refuse. So here I am. Like it's good, but other things are good too. And that tells us that masteries are getting into a healthier place in that sense, that people can reasonably differ. It's not quite where we would want masteries to be, right? Which is where, like, a lot of people are running different setups. Like, you loosely have a everything but collar tech camp, and then you have a, like, I give up on specifically this one thing so I can run collar tech camp. And that's about it. If masteries were in a better place, you would probably have, like, at least 5 mainline builds. I don't know, someday. Okay, that's about as perfect as that can go. I didn't get hit by the heavy, and that was the #1 obstacle. See, that's the thing. I don't fully agree, Ghost. It doesn't really cost that much to experiment with masteries. It costs a fair amount to unlock them in the first place, but that cost has been blunted by, like, 2 straight years of log into the web store, click a button, and you get mastery cores sometimes. Like, I really just do not buy that the experimentation is that expensive. Not anymore. Yeah, it's more what Aiden said. The cost is not too high if there's a good reason to experiment. Right now, there kind of isn't. And that's kind of my point. Hey, Devil Dog. Exactly, Black Hole. I've started taking the other class mastery cores just because I have enough Stony and Carbonadium. Like, what are those going to be for? Okay, I was like, I only need 1 crit. I mean, that'll do it, Omega, but I don't think there's really anything that I'm missing. We can go take a look real quick. Yeah, yeah. Go away. Thank you. Yeah, like I've got recoil fully unlocked. I think I have suture fully unlocked. Maybe not this one. Yeah, that means that I haven't unlocked suture level 3, right? The little thingy. I don't know. And I might not have resonate level 3, I guess. Yeah, that must be what it is, because I don't think I ever bothered to unlock Serum Science. Yes, and I have unlocked Collar Tech. So yes, that's correct. So, like, there's a couple things that I could spend carbonadium cores on if I really wanted to dig into this, but they're not particularly important. And I don't think there's anything really left with stony cores. This probably is those. I don't care. Yeah, that's never going to happen. This one doesn't need to be unlocked. Yeah, yeah. And so I've started picking up the class cores for that reason. It's just, yeah, there's nothing to save for me. Hey, John. Welcome. Looking forward to earning that extra mastery point when I get to level 65. Yeah, I mean, good on you. It's a long way up for me. Which is entirely my own fault. I've missed a lot of solo raids and daily super events that I could have done. And I have just been doing other things. And I am content with that. Hey, Stig. Yeah, I am glad you're aware about it, Mr. Steven, but like that's not how respecking works in almost any game. And so yes, I am going to say you are being hard-headed. I don't know, Matt. Kind of depends. I try not to spend too much time thinking about Unfazed because I really, really don't like. No, because she doesn't answer the evade. Hey, Bleezy. The Crucible? No, you're good. You can stay in there as long as you want. I mean, Unfazed is already too strong defensively, Elijah. I feel pretty strongly about that. It never should have applied to evades that are part of an offensive kit. That wasn't the point of it. It was supposed to be for, like, random evades. It's doing too much. Stark Spidey. Solvark's fine. Stark Spidey is without peer. Sure, Aiden, but that's short-term thinking. Wow. Not cool, Monica. Not cool. Thank God we made that change. It was either this build or last build that kept strikers from getting parried by people who can parry non-contact. I would have been so salty. I created my account when I was 15, played for 2-3 months, quit, started playing 3 years back, now finally in a wrong. That's brutal, Cypher. I keep pushing with support on that, but it's, yeah, tough thing. Nah, I don't agree with you there, EK. No, you jerk. Yeah, so I don't think I finished that thought. I don't agree, EK, because if more champions than already do turned off Stand Your Ground effectively wouldn't exist. Nice, Cypher, I'm glad. Like that's one of those things in design that you kind of just have to deal with, is that sometimes you might not like something, but if it exists, it should be a certain amount of present, or you're kind of just taking away from the people who are making the choice to use it. Yeah, Tigra is the perfect example of someone who doesn't need it. Learn your timing. She doesn't need to chain in the corner. No, it doesn't, Preston. It makes it riskier to use heavies if your timing is bad in a fight that is already blocking out heavies. That is not the same thing. Sometimes the point of a placement, the point of a fight design, is to complicate heavies. Stand Your Ground does that. I don't like the parry part either, but like making heavy useless is like not a fair read of what's going on. No, defenders do not have access to strikers. See, I don't really buy that either, Ghost, because you can easily start making that argument for like 6 different masteries, and then it gets ridiculous very quickly. If we start putting HUD readouts up for like which masteries the defender has, there's going to need to be a whole row dedicated to that in nothing flat. No, the plan is not for stat casts to give defenders strikers at any point. Really don't like this draft for us. Yeah, I did answer that. Because, like, the icon was only there for ranks 1 through 4. And so we had the choice of adding it for 5 or removing it for the other 4. And we removed it for the other 4 because it was a mistake in the first place. And, like I said, if there's an icon there and we canonize it, then now we have to do that everywhere, right? No, that's not it, Elijah. This heavy has no freaking reach, does it? Ascension does not count for prestige. That dialogue box is just messed up. Does not, has never. At least not so far. Storm's heavy does not need any more reach. She's powerful enough. And Adam just doesn't need his heavy, so why bother? Nah, rank 3, pleasey. Would have been a significantly healthier finish if I hadn't gone for that heavy, though. Unfortunate stupidity on my part. No, Swarly, it is not code attack that way. We've tried to remove it where we run into that. But if you want the long version on why not everything in the AI is something right now is something that we can just go fix, then I recommend you look up the 2.0 forum post. That goes into it on more detail than I think I want to today. Okay, LP. I don't remember which one that is, me. Can you remind me of the nodes on that Sentinel? And then I can maybe give you something. There's two different answers, Aiden, depending on which way you want to look at it. First is just the way the implementation that the designer for Dark Phoenix picked. But the second and maybe better way, excuse me, is that strikers are not the attacker landing hits. Man. Strikers are the defender getting struck, but they are explicitly not the attacker landing hits. Ah, that's unfortunate. That does make sense, but that's unfortunate. Alright, well, here goes nothing. Woo! Yeah, felt. Well played, opponent. Yeah, no, it's a good question, Stig, and I'm a little bit annoyed it wasn't caught before it went out, but... He said without launching a striker, there's no difference. Oh, that's... yeah. Okay, that's incorrect. What difference does it make if my opponent has 10% crit resist? That doesn't matter. Also in... Hey, why can't this character ever land crits on Korg? It's really annoying. It's like I'm getting terrible RNG. Just stone face. Thanks, EK. Okay, combo party and biohazard. So I know we're looking at new Sentinel, which means you do want something for the end. You mentioned you don't have Ghost. Do you have Luke Cage? Because Luke Cage is bleed resistant and has ability power rate control and thus answers the end, right? That would be my top answer. He also has Sunder and so can actually land some decent hits. Similarly, Photon would do pretty well, but you would have to stay on him when the armors expire, and there is some risk there. There's also the fact that if you lose to Sentinel's boom at the end, then like he only does it once, not the end of the world. Count Nefaria is also good. Like I'm literally just looking at ability power rate control plus bleed immunity right now, so that you can follow along. Because that's what I see, right? Sentinel has ability power, Biohazard adds bleed. Everything else is just don't get hit. Those are the two things that you need to answer. The alternative is having a safe way to remove the armors, which basically means pulverize and bleed immunity, and that is not likely to happen. Yeah, so if we run through, I don't think that really fits anyone here. And so then the last option is one that people use a fair amount, which is some other kind of power control and bleed immunity, which brings us back to like Prowler, right? So do you have any of those? Nefaria I do have. Okay, then that'll work. Nefaria has the extra advantage of not insta-dying if you block the special 2. The block damage will hurt, so don't just block the special 2, but you do have the resistance, right? They'll work pretty well. I would love to see Kate as a 7-star with her cold snap tuned down a bit, Eli. Yeah, exactly, Aiden. Oh, okay, I get you. But hold on. I'm going to go read it because this stuff is technical and there is a language difference, but I am not defending the language difference because I didn't come up with it. Blah, 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 blah. Ooh, that's... Because it doesn't say her being struck, it says striking her. And I realize that sounds incredibly freaking pedantic, but that is the kind of pedantic that the person who came up with this text was banking on. I would say that probably still counts. Because, like, compare that, where it says striking her during this time. Compare that with Photon's Special 3, which says this passive pauses when the opponent is struck. Right? Do you see the difference? I understand the immediate and instinctual scrunch, but do you understand the difference? Oh. Do I think it is good, bad, or indifferent that strikers give the defender energy? I think it's good. It annoys me at times, absolutely. I think it is one of the main things holding you back from being able to indiscriminately use them. But the combo extension and the extra control is so strong that that's necessary, right? It's kind of like asking, do you consider it a good thing that you give the defender power when striking them while they're stunned? It's like, yes, that is stunning the opponent is so powerful that it makes sense that you are giving them power. Now, obviously, Petrify complicates that, but the point is still there needs to be a cost to hitting the opponent. And strikers not only are hitting the opponent themselves, see Zemo, Hulkling, Photon, strikers are also allowing you to continue hitting the opponent more before they get a chance to do something. So they need that cost. Yeah, the distance stuff I don't like, John. I get you. That's probably for the same reason, Aiden. Because, like, Dragon Man is definitely older than Striker, so there's just no way. Like, there was not enough due diligence to this stuff, bluntly, when Relics came out. And in fairness, there wasn't enough time for there to be due diligence. Because, yeah, it's the clear thing is saying defensive combat power rate is reduced by. But the way we used to do all of those was, like, as you are striking the opponent, reduce their combat power rate. And until we go in and clean up all of those, like, we cleaned up the energizes, right? But, bleh. That's tough. Is talking about tech debt on this game is an ADHD person's nightmare because I want to just say, no, these things cannot just be fixed. They need to go into a cleanup task and then be properly, um, like, processed, sorted, cleaned, then go through QA that is itself scheduled ahead of time to make sure that we don't break things as we're fixing them. That is the process reason why we don't just fix bugs all the time, especially when they're systematic and old bugs. The ADHD part of me goes, yeah, but sometimes you can just kind of fix it and then don't tell anybody and it'll be fine. But then the other part of me that understands my ADHD goes, no, don't do that. If you do that, you're just going to spend an entire week fixing little things that will probably be fine. And you can probably even get away with it because you have more seniority now. But then you will not be doing your actual work. And that is why we don't just chase things down all the time. I'm not answering that, Osman. I'm just not. It's because anything I say is going to get a what about, or is going to be used against me somewhere, or is going to be like taken out of context or mistranslated. And I'm not saying by you. It's just not worth it. Yeah, Beta Ray Bill would be closer, but I don't think his resistance is near enough to handle Biohazard. If you maxed out, excuse me, if you maxed out Coagulate on Bill and then brought Mr. Fantastic for the debuff siphoner and then kept those debuffs up, then you would have enough bleed resistance to get through Biohazard. I don't think that somebody who's taking on 612 Sentinel is likely to have access to max Coagulate, though. So I think that's more of a theoretical possibility than a real one. I've talked about that before, Ghost. It's so complicated. Like, I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but it's just players really underestimate just how complicated that is. And when you start getting into examples, you usually end up that players think that it's not that complicated because they're making assumptions that other players wouldn't agree with. And we have to decide which assumptions to codify if we ever do that. Maker's solid. Maker is a little slow for Battlegrounds, but I think a lot of people saying Maker is very slow are kind of just playing him wrong. That's a fair response, Aiden. Yeah, you know I hate that one easy. There is no starting small. There just isn't. Like, I respect what you're trying to say, but that's not really a thing. Because starting small just means not finishing the job. And then we roll it out and everybody goes, well, but it's missing all of these things, and that means you can't really use it, and so it's kind of useless, and I just wish Kabam would stop shipping half-finished... No, thank you. What is going on? I tried to parry at the start of the fight, nothing freaking happened. I went for a heavy, nothing happened. Love that. Love that for us. No, that's not that, like, don't, Aiden. Like, this has nothing to do with her. That is just purely things did not work, right? Like, Cole handles that just fine. Nothing, the fumble, or the ensnare wasn't online. That's not what caused things to fail. The heavy just didn't work. You saw Cole, like, drop his block and then put it back up. I'm all for complaining when it's necessary. But let's make sure it is. Yeah, but that's fine, because the fight would have been over by then if those first two heavies had worked the way they were supposed to. Hey, Obed. I'm glad you're enjoying Act 9, that's cool. I'll try and respond to some more of chat in a second. cool. We're not EA or a large law firm, Elijah. We don't just have interns lying around doing nothing. Really curious to see what happened there. They used somebody who didn't have an evade counter against somebody who evades a lot. Dark Spidey's very good. Not invincible. Oof. Could have used Venom for Spider-Woman? Yeah, they definitely could have. I'm not sure what they were saving Venom for. I think they just kind of over-trusted Spark. Decent chance we would have beaten Venom, though. Just because he might have lost enough health. 1 second. Oathbane asked, why doesn't Cassandra have reverse controls immunity? I believe it was if I'm remembering correctly, it was a thematic choice. Well, I mean, design-wise, not everybody who has any kind of telepathy needs to have reverse controls immunity, and that's borne out several other places in the game. But thematically, it was also because she's similar to Professor X, yes, but not the same, and her abilities intentionally have a more offensive bent. And an immunity to incoming reverse controls is like thematically a defensive thing, right? It represents the psychic being on the defensive, fortifying their mind against incursions, instead of just going all out and messing with the opponent. And the design vision was that Cassandra was more the latter. That's kind of the problem, Swarley, is that like it's where does Adam fit? Because you can put him down for incinerate and what is it, cold snap and shock immunity, the various energy ones. but it's so easy for that to not actually be something you can use. Yeah, there's so many conditional immunities or resistances, and like kind of as we were talking about with Bill, 60% resistance matters sometimes, it really doesn't in others. I don't know why everyone asks me that's easy. It's like it's not really any different from, oh wow, characters I built are in the game in any other context. It never really goes away, but it's also like I've built 10 characters from scratch and I've worked on 18 now. It'd be pretty difficult for me to avoid them running into each other. Yeah, I mean the on the Venom thing, kind of to Aiden's point, um, Ensnare could easily stop the Clintar buff from succeeding one of those times, and then suddenly Venom doesn't have an evade counter, and then you're in trouble. Let's see, how long have I been going? An hour. I might come back later, but I think I'm gonna call it here because I'm getting kind of hungry. I need to not have my food schedule get too off base. But yeah, we'll keep this a short one, and I may or may not be back. But thank you, everybody.